Hello, everyone. Welcome to our course on the history of Western economy, culture, and society. This is a history class covering wide ranges of things, including society, economy, and culture. However, it is not a typical old school history approach, clearly different from the old approaches to history. I talk about it later in detail. Let me talk about me for a while. Uh, I'm I'm Kwangsu Jeon. I know Korean names hard can be a bit tricky for you to pronounce, but please give it a try. Getting comfortable with foreign names is a great skill for your future career and life here in Korea. I'll do the same for you. All right? You don't need to make up any English or Korean names. Let's learn to call each other by our real names given by our fathers or by ancestors. My name is Kwangsu Jeon. Kwangsu is not a super common for my generation, but it's actually quite famous these days. Have you heard of the Korean dating show I Am Solo? In that show, they use nicknames instead of real names, and and Guangzhou is one of the regular ones. To be honest, I've never really liked my name, and I'm not a big fan of these stereotypes that comes with it either. But life is funny. Even my own children tease me about it now. Surprisingly, I found that I actually enjoy it when they joke around me with that. Uh, and in the show, the Kwang's character is usually portrayed as someone unique, intellectual, and professional, right? So looking at it that way, maybe it's not such a bad name to have after all, right? Okay, I have a background in architecture and history. My undergraduate degree was in architecture, but I don't majored in history. After that, I have been digging the field of history. I graduated from um, the the major in Western history with the focus on American history. After getting the master degree, I changed my direction into religious history, especially during the 16th and 17th century. I moved back to Korea in late to 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And I taught in several schools in Seoul or here at Kelvin University. This is the second semester. All right. That's it for my instruction, but I think I have more chances to talk about me later. Okay. Um, let's begin. Let's begin with the current issue looking at the world today. Honestly, it feels like we are living in a time of permanent crisis. We have the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. We see the rise of MAGA and America First policies. The global police officer we once trusted is now putting its own interests above everything else. Treaties are being ignored and tariff bombs are being dropped. When we see powerful nations ignoring international law and using raw material for military force, we have to ask, has uh, has peace ever existed in history without power and weapons? Um, Now you guys are watching on TV about the war between Iran and and the United States. Um, and the future is unpredictable. So what can we do? The most important thing we can do right now is looking at the past. By studying history of empires, we can understand the social and economic and cultural structures led by the US and the West today. Um, this isn't it's not just academic. It's a sort of survival skill for your future. Not only of your nation, but also of you yourself, an individual person in the context of history. Think about this. If someone asks you, "Who are you?" and how do you answer? Just saying I'm a student at Calvin University isn't enough. Your identity is built by where you were born, who your parents are, where you went to school, and what you have experienced. Your history is your identity. The Roman philosopher and a politician, uh, Cicero, or Cicero in Latin, once said, "To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child." Think about that for a second. Without knowing history, we can never truly become mature adults. We stay stuck at a childish level because we don't understand the world that built us. To grow up, to become a mature adult, you must understand the stories and history that happened long before you were born. If studying the past is actually a way of looking at our present, then history is no longer just an option. It becomes a necessity. Why? Why is that? Because history doesn't just stay in the past, it constructs our present. Today is simply a time extension of what was the present just a moment ago. Simply put, the past and the present are not two separate things. They are one continuous flow. There is a British proverb that goes like this: "Who knows only England does not know England." You likely understand what this means, and various adaptations are possible. He who knows only Korea does not know Korea. He who knows only the present now does not know the present. We must study the past, that is history. Consider this: a cat looks into a mirror and sees a tiger. Oh, we can easily predict this cat's future, can't we? What will happen? Will it live a long life? Definitely no. Acting like a tiger when it is just a cat, it'll surely meet an early reckless end. This is why the question who am I is so critical. To truly understand our identity, we must know our past. The me of the present is an extension of the me of the past. The same goes for societies and nations. To understand where we are, we must know where we came from. If we look closely at history, you start to see the patterns. Humans, groups, and nations all share common traits, and because of those traits, history repeats itself. History isn't just about the past, it's the study of the today. It's the study of today. So when we ask what is history, it's the same as asking why should we study? Once you realize that history is the foundation of your current life, studying it becomes a necessity. You are here right now because of where you were yesterday, last month, and last year. By looking back, we are actually looking at ourselves in the mirror. Let's use this mirror of history to find our way forward. So far, we have talked about why we study history. Um, to sum up the first point, um, studying the past is essential to understand our present. That's why we, sitting here in the here and now, have no choice but to go back to the there and then. Why? Because our here and now is a direct extension of that past. We are standing on the very line that started back then. So to truly know ourselves, we must return to the beginning. Now, let's briefly look at what history actually is. Um, my points are like these, and I have talked about the first point, and the next one is the yeah, crucial point. What is history? When we say history, it has two meanings. Two meanings. First, it refers to the past itself, which is what we have been discussing until now. But now I want to talk about history as a methodology. In other words, I'm talking about historical research, the actual process of studying the past. Um, Now um let's tackle a famous classic question. What is history? I introduced two main ways to answer this. Back in the 19th century, a movement called historicism or positivism became very popular. I will introduce two guys here. Leopold von Ranke, a German historian, and E.H. Carl. Uh, uh, yeah, he's an English guy, and yeah, I'll talk about him later. Anyway, Leopold von Ranke, led by this German historian. This group, the first group, believed history should show the past exactly as it happened. They think they consider the past as facts exactly as it happened. It's like a giant timeline listing dates and events one by one. According to this view, a historian's duty is to suppress their own opinions. You stay neutral, objective, and fair. You don't take sides. You just report the facts. It sounds ideal, right? Many scholars still hold this view because it respects the hard facts. Um, but here's the problem. Is it actually possible to show the past exactly as it happened? Even if we talk about what happened in Seoul yesterday, is it easy to stay objective? If you want to know yesterday's news, you watch the TV news, but different channels interpret the same event differently. Sure, they might agree on what happened, but they often disagree on why it happened or who is responsible. If it's this hard to agree on yesterday, imagine how hard it is to agree on 500 years ago. The moment a historian chooses to talk about a specific person or region, they are making a choice. And every choice reflects a perspective. My own motives and goals influence what I show you. This is why pure objectivity is so difficult. This leads us to the famous definition by E.H. Carr. History is a continuous dialogue between the past and present. I call it, I think I can call his position as a historical anti-positivism. It's somewhere between the um the previous historicism or positivism between the relativism. But he's not exactly the same with the view of relativism. So his famous motto is I I think you heard yeah more than one times, right? Um, Dialogue between the past and the present. Um, History is a continuous dialogue between the past and the present. By dialogue, he means that the past doesn't speak to us. Instead, we ask questions from our current perspective, and the past answers us. This is very different from just listing facts, right? In the late 20th century, postmodernism took this even further. These postmodernists argue that there are no facts at all, only interpretations. They even claimed historians are just novelists who use historical themes. This extreme view was popular for a while, but is fading now because it ignores reality too much. Today, um, today most historians find themselves somewhere between Ranke and Carl. We recognize that the facts are important, but we also admit that our current perspective always shapes how we tell the story about the past. So, as we go through this course, keep asking questions. How is our world today changing the way we look at the past? Um, so far we have talked about why we study story. Let's take a short break here, and then I will come back and I'll dive into historical methodology, the number three. See you in a bit.